Reforms to rental laws in New South Wales will take effect from today, granting tenants more rights, including an end to no grounds evictions. For more on this, we're joined now by the CEO of the Tenants Union of New South Wales, Patterson Ross. Leo, thank you for your time. Now, quite a few changes today, and we had them outlined there. What do you think will cause the biggest shifts for the better for renters?
Yeah, good morning. Look, the most significant thing here is certainly the no grounds eviction reform, bringing in a set of reasonable and legally valid reasons that will be coupled with evidence, that will be coupled with penalties if they're not complied with, and with reletting exclusion periods where if particular notices, particularly the owner moving in or preparing the property for sale or using it for some other purpose, these are 6 to 12 month exclusion periods. So New South Wales has really tried to cover off on the worry that many renters have going into this reform that the notices will still not really be trustworthy. There are a number of strategies that they've tried to bring in. The eviction reform themselves will enable the change in relationship between landlords and tenants, and that's really the most significant issue here. People for many years, for decades, have been worried about raising repairs issues. They've been worried about negotiating rent increases. They've been worried about saying to the landlord who shows up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning unannounced that they should stop doing that. They've been worried about actually accessing the legal rights that are laid out in the law, laid out in our contracts, because they could be evicted without any justification, without any evidence. And that's what's really changing. And that means that we're going to have a much more, respectful, honest relationship going forward.
And I mean, the other reforms, as we heard Julia Andre spell out there, the right to apply to keep pets in the rental home, at least one method of fee-free rental payments, such as a direct bank transfer. Where does this all put New South Wales when we compare to other states?
Look, we've obviously got work to do in a number of areas, particularly rental affordability remains a big issue in New South Wales. And we do have, the ACT has a stronger protection against rapid rent increases that aren't justified by improvements to the property or something like that. So in some areas, we might not be behind, we may still be behind. On no grounds eviction reform, we're certainly leading the country in at least in our attempt to bring this under control. I think that on pets, we unfortunately decided to go the Queensland route rather than the route that everywhere else in the country has gone, which is when you ask for permission, if the landlord says no, it's on the tenant to go to the tribunal and change that answer. And there's a much stronger set of rules now about that, but it still can be an intimidating process to go to the tribunal to try and overturn that. In the other states, it's the landlord who has to go and justify why they're saying no at the tribunal. And that would have been a fairer approach. But on pets, actually, the thing that most people are worrying about is at move-in, will I be able to move in with my pet and disclose that I have a pet and put that on the application form without being penalised? And that has not yet been changed. So, look, there's work to do for every state and territory, particularly around pets. But New South Wales has certainly stepped up in the rankings today.
Finally, there are calls for a register of landlords behaving badly. So that is not part of these reforms. What are your thoughts on that?
We think that, like all businesses, service providers should be registered. So landlords are providing an essential service. They make sure or that they're giving access to the home. Our homes need to be well maintained. They need to be kept up to a standard. But like in other businesses, government needs to be able to contact and communicate directly with the people responsible for providing these services, and they can't do that at the moment. There is no way for the government to communicate directly to the industry. There's the real estate agents sit in the middle, but at the end of the day, it is not the real estate agent's name who is on the tenancy contract. It's not their obligation to make sure the repairs are done or to comply with other standards. So registering all landlords in the same way that we've registered, short-term rental accommodation, we've registered all other businesses, so that you have a sense of who you're dealing with, would be a really sensible step forward. And then from there, you can look at non-compliance and find the people who aren't complying with whatever obligations are put in place. In the same way that you can go onto Service New South Wales website and look up your electricians, your plumbers and so on. You see everybody who's available, you know that you're dealing with a legitimate trader, and then they have a section where if there is non-compliance, that's listed. That would be the model we'd prefer to see.
Patterson Ross, the CEO of the Tenants Union of New South Wales, thank you for speaking with us today.
Absolutely, anytime.